Personnel came at her with a needle full of the sedative Versed and injected it in her shoulder.
They gave me back my phone, so I started live streaming on Instagram. And you can see that I'm talking slow, I'm slurring.
Attorney John Burris is claiming injection without permission is a seizure under the Fourth Amendment and a violation of civil rights.
You just had no alcohol, had no drugs, and so there was nothing, in essence, to have a basis for this other than they didn't like the fact that you continued to protest, and they wanted to shut her up. Well, I say to you, that's not a basis upon which you can interject foreign substance in a person's body.
San Francisco City Attorney, police, and fire departments are not commenting on pending litigation. In San Francisco, Margie Schaefer, KCBS.
And just ahead on KCBS.
I'm David Welch. A California court says Walgreens is liable for contributing to the opioid epidemic.
KCBS News Time 1:08. We are heading to the roadways with Carolyn. How's it looking?
And it's over to that Milpitas area on northbound that westbound Calaveras Boulevard off-ramp. Still seeing a lot of activity there. That's because a car went off the road. Went about 30 feet or so down an embankment. It's on the left-hand side. There might be a tow truck that has finally arrived on scene. The good news is that right now traffic is getting by in the main lanes on 680 with absolutely no problems. Also, if you are happening to be on either direction of the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge, well, starting on the west end and heading on eastbound 580, you have two left lanes that are closed for some bridge painting work. We're seeing a little bit of sluggish traffic that's right around mid-span. And on the east end of the bridge, in the westbound direction from the toll plaza to right around mid-span, they have a lane closed for some bridge inspection work. And we did have quite a backup there right at the toll plaza, but it looks like that has loosened up, and now traffic is smooth in that westbound direction as you head over to Marin County. Your next traffic update's at 118 on the traffic leader, KCBS.
Yeah, mostly clear this morning with a little bit of fog. There's a nice high-pressure system that's going to keep it right at the coast. Lows in the 50s and 60s, sunny, breezy, warmer today after morning fog and overcast. Just clear up pretty quickly. Highs from the 60s at the beaches, 70s around the bay to the upper 80s inland. Traffic and weather together on the 8th on All News 106.9 and AM 740 KCBS.
My friends at Pacific Coast Termite have treated almost 50,000 commercial businesses and homes, including mine. They can help you too. Joe Starkey here. For years, you've been hearing me talk about the great experience my family and I had with Pacific Coast Termite. Well, recently I visited their Fremont headquarters to personally thank them for their excellent work. I was impressed with everything from their professional, courteous operators answering the phones to the experienced technicians who were headed out on home inspections throughout the Bay Area. They are A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Pacific Coast Termite solved my termite and rodent problems. They use orange oil and Eltracet. They kill the termites and guarantee their work for 2 years. So if you're even thinking about a termite treatment, start where I did. Call Pacific Coast Termite at 800-PACIFIC. Call now and get 10% off your termite treatment. If you're an apartment or HOA owner, Pacific Coast Termite can help you too. That's 800-722-4342 or visit PacificCoastTermite.com today.
KCBS News Time 1:11. Stanford police sent out a campus-wide alert yesterday after a student reported that she was grabbed, taken into a bathroom, and raped. It happened around 5 p.m. on Tuesday near Wilbur Hall while summer classes were underway. The victim said she's seen the man on campus before. Stanford summer classes are in session while most students return in late September. Police said the victim isn't ready to speak with them yet, so they don't know many specifics. They also don't have a clear suspect description. Stanford police are also asking if anyone took any pictures in the area near Wilbur Hall around that time or near the parking lot to call them. And a California district court ruled against part in contributing to the opioid crisis. The city of San Francisco brought the lawsuit against the pharmacy. KCBS's David Welch explains.
Although plaintiffs have had some success with juries in the past, today's ruling is the first time a plaintiff has had success when a judge alone makes the decision. The city attorney's office settled with most of the defendants in the case. Those settlements yielded over $100 million. Your city attorney, David Chu.
This is the first step of this trial. Walgreens has been found liable. In the next phase, the court will determine how the city to abate the opioid epidemic.
The city plans to use the funds, both from the previous settlements and what's awarded from Walgreens, towards expanded intervention and treatment. City Public Health Director Grant Colfax says the funds are desperately needed.
Opioid use and addiction has created not only a public health crisis, but a societal crisis. And we as a city are applying every public health measure we can do to respond to it.
Phase 2 of the trial is expected to start in the coming months. In San Francisco, David Welch, KCBS.
And considered radical by some, there's a proven method of drug intervention: safe consumption. Places where drug users can consume drugs safely. As KCBS's Jim Taylor reports, such a site could be coming to a neighborhood near you.
We're talking about Senate Bill 57.
This is a bill whose time has come.
If signed by the governor, State Senator Scott Wiener's bill would give state approval of safe consumption sites in L.A., Oakland, and San Francisco. In the last 4 years since the last governor chose not to sign,
over 1,000 people have died here in San Francisco.
we're in the Tenderloin, where people die regularly of overdose drug deaths. The area represented in the assembly by Matt Haney.
There are people who are shooting up and using drugs all over their neighborhood. This is unacceptable. It's dangerous.
Would acknowledge safe consumption as a successful means of dealing with the drug crisis.
We know that, and yet there's always this knee-jerk reaction of, no, we can't, quote, enable. People are using drugs. They have always used drugs, and they're using them more today than before the war on drugs started.
Outside Glide Memorial in San Francisco, Jim Taylor, KCBS.
And we have an update from CAL FIRE. The Six Rivers lightning fire burning through Humboldt and Trinity counties has grown to over 12,000 acres and is 0% contained. Officials say heavy ground fuel accumulations from winter could result in uncharacteristic fire behavior, since the area has had really little recent fire.
I'll do a medium fry.
A medium french fry?
And that'll be it.
Okay, I'll give you the total on the window.
Thank you. Oh, let's see. Oh, his stomach's really hurting. It's not good. To get this stuff out of the car. Oh. How am I gonna carry all this? I don't know. Might be able to do this. Might be able to do that. I don't know. Ow. Oh, stomach. I feel sick. I feel really sick. Oh, boy. Same thing happening there. It's talking. Oh, hi. Oh, God. Hi.
before?
Oh. Yeah, definitely. My drink, yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you. There we go. Okay.
KCBS News Time, 1:18. We will check the roadways, and then I'll have a 6-day forecast for you coming up. Carolyn?
And right now, the only activity that we're seeing as far as a crash goes is still in that Milpitas area, where CHP is still on the scene of this accident where on northbound 680 on that westbound Calaveras Boulevard off-ramp, a car went off the road about 30 feet down an embankment. The good news is it's still not affecting traffic whatsoever in the main lanes. If you're heading to the Altamont Pass, actually on both directions of 580 in between Midway Road and Grant Line Road, you'll find road work there that has shut down. They're doing some bridge repair work, but the good news is that right now traffic is smooth through that whole stretch in both directions. We do have road work in Sausalito on 101 southbound. You have 3 left lanes closed from Spencer Avenue to just before that Golden Gate toll plaza. We are seeing a stretch of traffic that's a bit under the limit from right around mid-span to the toll plaza itself. Your next traffic update's at 1:28 on the traffic leader, KCBS.
Yeah, you can kind of just cut and paste the next couple of days for the forecast, because we're in fog, but there's a high, so it's keeping the fog way out at the coast. Mostly clear this morning with a little bit of fog along the coast, lows in the 50s and 60s. Sunny, breezy, and warmer today. Highs from the 60s at the beaches, 70s around the bay to the upper 80s inland. Slightly warmer inland tomorrow through Tuesday, and the highs in the upper 80s and low 90s. Should be pretty gorgeous. No extreme heat, is what we say in big letters. It's 63 degrees right now down here on the Embarcadero in San Francisco, and just about everybody in the low 60s. Traffic and weather together on the 8th on All News 106.9 and AM 790 KCBS. KCBS News Time 1:20. The Contra Costa County has seen a slight uptick in COVID-19 cases. Deputy Health Services Director Erica Jensen told the board the county is averaging about people hospitalized with COVID-19. The amount of virus detected in the county's wastewater has gone up slightly the past 2 weeks. Jensen said that though new boosters will be coming out this fall, people should not wait to get vaccinated. She says fully vaccinated people with 2 boosters are 96% less likely to die from COVID than people who are unvaccinated. And the Bay Area, the new school year is getting underway in districts across the Bay Area, and many kids will be going back without having been vaccinated against COVID-19. KCBS reporter Melissa Call-Ross spoke with a health expert who is hoping that will change.
Only about a third of elementary school children have been vaccinated against COVID, says SF pediatrician and Prevention and Public Health Group Director Dr. George Rutherford, and that's way too low if we want to slow the impact of the disease as they head back to class.
We certainly don't tolerate large outbreaks of measles in the classrooms because we have a very effective vaccine and strict laws and rules about vaccination.
Speaking on KCBS's Ask an Expert, Rutherford says COVID shots, which now are authorized for kids as young as 6 months old, are plentiful. So health officials just have to get the word out to parents that they're safe and effective.
I think that, outreach at schools might be something that some health departments consider. I don't think we have this great public thirst for COVID vaccination that's for school-age children. That's been fulfilled.
You can hear Ask an Expert weekday mornings at 9:20 on KCBS, on the air, and on the Odyssey app. Melissa Call-Ross, KCBS.
And many school districts started class this week, and there are lots of firsts. KCBS reporter Bob Butler says some student athletes are glad to be back in school and at football practice.
Thanks to supply chain issues, Arcalonis High School football coach Floyd Burson can't get new football equipment. Our
jerseys are delayed. You can't find helmets. I've been called all over the country to find helmets, and I had to borrow some from one of our sister schools.
And he needs it.
We're about 150 in our program.
How many do you normally have?
Well, it's been getting bigger every year. So when I first got here, we probably had maybe 180, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Fuentes says he has varsity, JV, and freshman, but only 2 schools in the league have freshman teams. 9th grade wide receiver and defensive back Cody Miklish hopes they can find some games, but he's just glad to be in school and at practice wearing pads for the first time.
So glad it's not virtual. I feel like it's more in the rearview mirror now, so I'm glad for that.
At Oklahoma's High School in Lafayette, Bob Butler, KCBS.
And a naturopathic doctor charged with selling fake COVID-19 immunization treatments and fraudulent vaccination cards will be sentenced later this year after a California judge denied her motion to withdraw her plea agreement. Julie Massey pleaded guilty last April to wire fraud and making false statements related to healthcare matters. Yesterday, Massey, who is representing herself, sought to vacate her plea agreement while also filing a motion challenging the laws that led to her prosecution. The federal judge denied both motions. Prosecutors say Massey provided the fake cards to at least 200 people. And in the last several years, emerging infections like COVID and most recently monkeypox are forcing development and demand for vaccinations that are appropriate for all age groups. But in an effort to protect those most vulnerable, scientists may be putting children and pregnant women at risk by excluding them from clinical trials. KCBS's Alex Wirtz reports.
In an effort to protect the most medically vulnerable, clinical research initiatives have historically enlisted only non-pregnant adults in clinical trials. Now scientists are questioning whether that's a practice that does more harm than good in the long run.